him, that homeless person you're looking down on, that you think is lazy because he's out there bumming money. Whose planet is this? What would you do if you were God? These resources, every one of them belong to God. There's no need for money if it's understood we're all born unthinkably wealthy. And that is the real paradigm. That is the only paradigm that really matters. That's the one that you better wrap your heart and mind and spirit and soul around, because that's the one that's coming. Okay, money far too easily corrupts hearts and minds of men. I'm sorry to say, if that makes you sad or it makes you shut me off, or whatever, that's your prerogative, as it is everybody's. But I'm just telling you what I really believe, and that belief gets stronger and stronger. I know. Look, if we were going to figure out how to coexist and live in harmony with this substance, this entity we call money, in any of its sundry forms, we would have done so by now. But it's the opposite. My whole life has been going the other way. This is the slaver class. These are the people that in the past they used to get away with using violence to, well, if these people are a different color, let's pick on them, or whatever it may be. They come from a lower class, let's pick on them. Let's cheat them. Let's steal from them. And that's what inflation is. It's currency debasement. It's theft. Your money under any form of true capitalism is never supposed to go down for any appreciable amount of time. Maybe briefly if there's a disruption in the supply chain. Other than that, there's a steady trajectory up. Your money goes up in worth, and you don't have to be particularly intelligent to figure out the end from the beginning. If your money keeps going up in worth, eventually it becomes irrelevant because we've all got so much of it and it's worth so much that it just puts all the BS to rest. That we realize God made us to want to serve, to use our God given talents, to show our appreciation to others, to be appreciated. That's to be loved. When you really appreciate somebody, you're really loving them. And look at this thing with the Roe versus Wade. This came out of nowhere. Okay, and I looked up what justice is. It was 4 men and 1 woman. And, that kind of sticks in my craw a little. I'll be honest with you. And, I've got a lot I want to discuss about this, but I don't want to get off into the weeds too much because I really think that in the long run, I think women are going to benefit from this. I really do. I think that it just shows that, hey, there's another side to the story. And just because they're a minority, that, is saying that at least all the polls are suggesting that overwhelmingly, well over half the people in America think that, we should have left Roe versus Wade alone as some kind of constitutional, sort of a, what do they call it? It's a kind of sort of a constitutional amendment, right? But others think, they can't wait. They think it's the best thing in the world that this thing was turned overturned. But, if it was going to happen, I think that women need to play a far more greater role. And that is not at all to let men off the hook. Men need to really be more responsible. And you need to have this discussion. We all need to take this business a little more seriously. That's my opinion. So what? I mean, for God's sake, we all know men are the horn dogs out there. I mean, I'm not saying that women can't be equally horn dogs. I don't like to use that phrase for the female, which I believe is just she's glorious and sacred. And the older I get, the more I realize that. And I appreciate that. And it's God made things perfectly balanced. But the devil's always in the detail trying to mess with us. You notice that? How, gender relations are so often strained. We see all the time relationships that start out great and they end up bitter at the end. And May take, a couple days, and it may take a couple years, it may take decades, but a lot of times that happens. And you got to understand that evil hates a good thing, and the male female paradigm is a good thing, a very good thing, a very powerful thing, a very God given thing. Human sexuality, male and female, it's mind blowing. And more and more I'm realizing, hey, because my dad told me many years ago that well, men and women are exactly the same, and I'm thinking, I don't know, that was tough for me to understand. And then, but later I'm thinking, you know what, maybe he's right that maybe it's not just men that are driven to have sexual relations, that women too. And women have a different thing. The female, as we all know, has these times. I don't know if it's every month or what. I just haven't studied female physiology enough to know, when they feel most driven to enjoy their sexuality, let's say. But we know those times exist. I guess it's called estrus, right? But so they can be very driven too, and it's a very powerful force. So men, you need to step into the plate and be responsible and have the conversation first. That's it. You talk about it. Because right now men have no power at all legally. None. None. Absolutely zero zip nada. Even though it is literally scientifically provable, a part of that man is in that woman. The fetus contains a part of that man. So you could say, well, it's his property and he wants it back. And how's she supposed to give it back to him? He doesn't want a dead fetus. But, and this whole idea that, the law is so hard-nosed about making men pay child support. So, I mean, she gets to have a second choice, right, guys? She had the first choice, of course, unless she was raped, which, that's BS. Uh, that's not okay ever. Okay, but women, you really need to be emphatic because a guy might think you're toying with him to just, I don't know, it just mind screwing with the mind, opposite psychology. I don't know that enough about psychology to understand that dynamic of it, but hear tell that goes on. But you got to be emphatic. If you say no, it means no, and you tell him. Because if I was a woman, I know I could say it in a way that he understood. It's getting up and getting the hell away from him. If it maybe not have to walk out the door, but that's enough to get him to, hey, chill out. You're not going for it. So I'm opposed to that. So women should have that choice, and it should be theirs alone, because it's a far bigger deal, guys. You know that, and I think it has to come out that not every woman that's had an abortion is thrilled about it. That a lot of them wish they didn't. And that's a big deal on a woman. That weighs on them psychologically. And men, you need to be empathetic. You're not off the hook. If you were just some low-life scoundrel, hey, get rid of it, man. I'll have to pay for it. We can't deal with that. We're using drugs and whatever. I mean, don't be a pissant, guys. That's all I'm saying, man. Represent your gender correctly, huh? And, be responsible. And the same thing goes for the gals. I mean, I got two daughters in their 30s, so, hopefully someday I'll be a grandpa. If not, look, I'm going to love my daughters just as much either way. May God's will be done in their lives in this matter. Other than that, hey, they don't want to have kids. They've been taught the Earth's overpopulated, whatever. I mean, I don't believe that. I believe God's as capable of removing our fertility as he was of doing any other miraculous, marvelous thing, wondrous thing that he's done, awesome thing that he's done. He could do that too. But until the earth is populated to his satisfaction, we're going to be fertile. Personally, I was ready at 23. Before I consummated the relationship sexually with my wife, I made sure she promised to marry me. And that's what I'm going to get again. I'm a one woman, one man kind of guy. I believe that. Even though I say, hey, listen, gals, you got to understand, there's a whole fantasy world that guys imbibe in, and we know that a lot of ladies imbibe in it, so don't judge too harshly. There's a lot of dynamics that are, intricately different, I think, between the genders, right? We could all agree that there is some big differences in our plumbing, where we're made, how we're driven, in that way and all that. But and that is that men don't have that second choice, to say, hey, you know what, I said yes to having relations and no to not. And as a result, I got pregnant. And and it was a mistake, and I'm going to have an abortion. And if that guy gets emotional and he says, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, he's a believer, and he says, oh my God, what have I done? But he hasn't been taught that you should have thought of this beforehand, buddy, and had that conversation with her. What are we going to do if this happens? Then, you're screwed. And if she decides to have it and you don't want to have it, you're screwed there too. You're going to be paying child support for at least 18 years. And so that's the way it is. But we've got to remember that our sexuality is a beautiful thing, but we want God to approve of it. And as much as men can be dogs, and I think, I know that there's a lot of women that are infidelis, or they exert infidelity toward their partner. It happens both ways. Sometimes it's just the woman that does it, and sometimes it's just the man, and sometimes it's both of them. Sometimes it's retaliation, right? And but these things happen. But there's a little King Solomon, I say, in every man. That, yeah, I mean, what guy in his right mind? I mean, you just look at the female and you go, oh my God, they're all so awesome and beautiful. I love them all, and I want them all. I want to be the only man on earth, for God's sake. And you want something, ladies, you got to come to me. I mean, that's nutty as hell, right? I'm not defending it, but that's taken to the extreme, right? I mean, King Solomon himself, he could have had even more women, but he had purportedly 1,000 wives and concubines between the two classes. I mean, it's so stupid to me. A concubine would different from a wife, a lower class. I mean, that's nutty alone. But it's polygamous as hell. And, does God approve? Does God disapprove? Does it matter, the genders? I mean, it doesn't seem to work the other way, right? We don't hear of too many women, I don't know, historically. It was Cleopatra, or I forget, is there Queen, there's been some queens. What was the one that met King Solomon? I can't think of her name right now, but there may well have been some women that wanted, many suitors around them, right? So it can happen the other way, but it's not nearly as common. But all I'm saying is we all need to be thoughtful and caring, and don't let the devil destroy what is a very beautiful thing. Okay, the male-female paradigm, their relationship is so godly, so beautiful, so sacred, and the woman is so glorious and so beautiful. Ladies, I personally love you all. I think you're all awesome and beautiful, and your power is just, it's magical. It's just God-given power that, can only be explained that way. It's that irresistible beauty. I mean, what you do to the man, I mean, all guys know. I mean, ladies, you all know. I mean, the trick is not to be conceited, but to do the opposite. I don't like belly button rings. I don't like Brazilians. I mean, it's just, ladies, leave yourself natural. The way God made you, you can work, you can taper things, you can fine tune things a little, but keep your natural lines. That God made the woman impeccable, perfect, beautiful, the way you are, every one of you, all of you, all sizes, you're all just awesome and beautiful. And I just think, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm getting a little out into the weeds, I guess, but I think I just represent guys, basically. We're all kind of, and we can't imagine it, nor do we really want to imagine it being any other way. We're gaga over the female, and that's good. And I'm glad to see I'm keeping that feeling into my older age. I'm still vital, and I don't know what's going to happen in another 20 years, but for now, I just thank God every day for my sexuality. I mean, I've had 3 children because of my wife gave me. No matter what she does later, betrayal and stabbing me in the back and retaliation for something, you know, I can't worry about that. You know, I'm never going to stop loving her. I mean, yeah, there's a part of me that says, that wants to hold a grudge and resent her and be bitter and, think names if I'm not actually saying, but then I got to ask God for help to say, no, no, this woman is precious to me. Look at what she went